Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Today's topic is things to know when you're sponsoring your spouse. Friends, welcome to Green Card Guys TV. I'm your host, John Ting. I'm here to solve your immigration problem and maybe even prevent it from happening in the first place. Folks, there's a lot of information to share about when you're being sponsored by a spouse. It could be your spouse could be a resident or a U.S. citizen. But I'm here to break down the top 5 things, at least that I think about that we like to share in a consultation. But I don't know why. I gotta drink more water before I go on the show. But these things that we like to share in a consultation, okay? Uh, Imran, super genius. Thank you for that comment. We'll see if we can help you out. Just contact us. We have a phone number down below in the description box. And so, folks, if you have any questions, even though we do have a specific topic for today, you're welcome to drop it in the comment section, type it out, and we'll see if we can point you in the right direction. So for right now, for this topic, the things you need to know. Number one is that even if you don't have any income for the past, or you have low income for the past, year or 2 years because of the pandemic, and you're just trying to find that right job, it's still possible to sponsor someone. Okay, you need to have a co-sponsor. Some people call co-sponsor also like a joint sponsor. So even or the thing that's misconception is that even if you have a job right now, but you didn't have one in the past, maybe even like 6 months ago, that's also okay. There's no time mechanism, time of when the U.S. government says, well, you need to have show income for the past 24 months as a sponsor. They don't have that rule. Okay. What they really want to see is your current income. Okay. So even though the 864 form affidavit of support asks for, your income for the previous 3 years, your total income, personal income, total individual income, that doesn't, we've had plenty of clients that have zero or low amount. And so there's an opportunity to have, you can, number one, ask for your co-sponsors, or even before, if you don't want to get people involved, okay, you don't want to share your personal situation, that's completely understandable. You can use your assets. So most people think of assets like property ownership, but it can also include money in your bank account. So if you've been saving up, been doing good financially and been saving up in the past, it could be actual cash in your bank account, or even your retirement accounts in terms like 401k, for example. You can use that. However, you can't use the entire amount to show. So for example, I can share it on on YouTube and Facebook, the screen here about 864. So if you do want to see what I'm sharing with y'all and you're on Instagram, welcome to jump to greencardguys.tv so you can see it. So this really still on tip number one, the first thing to know, because this tends to be the one that delays people. Okay, they're just waiting for the job or waiting for a higher income job to get started to file the case, but you don't necessarily need to wait. Now, let's say that there's two food for thoughts here, and that is, thanks Juan Moreno, appreciate it. Thank you so much for your rating review. We really try our best to share information so that everyone is comfortable, so you can make an informed decision. So thank you so much, Juan. But anyway, for example, there's two things to think about. When you are worried about your income as a sponsor, as a resident or a U.S. citizen, and that as well, preferably as a law firm, we prefer to file the form 864 with your proof of income, your pay stubs, for example. So in America, we call it pay stubs when it's the most recent payment, for example, or proof of income every pay period. And of course, other than that, then the government wants to see your tax return. So even though the tax return from the prior year shows zero or low income below below I'm showing on YouTube and Facebook, if it was household size of 2 people, and most people who are not, in the military, then the minimum income for you and your spouse, you don't have any children living in your household, and it's 22,887 that you have to show. Okay, so That's just the bare minimum. Usually every year it goes up just a little bit, probably for inflation purposes. But um, what's it called? If some people worry like they delay filing the case. These cases, marriage cases, take about 12 months on average. Look, if your case you live out in, I don't know, Montana or something where not as many immigrants or foreign nationals live there, then your case might be your case you would think gets processed faster. So actually, I'm gonna look that up too. Okay, USCIS processing time. That's interesting. So the second thing you need to know, I could talk about each little topic in more in depth. Let me know if you have any questions. Drop it in the comments. But I want to share an example. I-485. If it's a marriage case, you have two main applications. Now, most people think a marriage case meaning like, oh, the person has to be in America. It can be someone else, not someone, significant other, very important person in your family, significant other also abroad. But right now, we're just looking at the 485 form I'm sharing my screen on YouTube and Facebook. I'm going to click on family based. I just picked a random one like Montana, but I don't even know. Is there a field center, field office in Montana? Maybe I pick Wyoming. Let me see if I can pick that. Okay. Out very far away. And the reason I want to share with you is because, give you an idea of the processing times. Okay, let me pick a different one. I pick Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island, for the field office. Ooh, oh man, this is nasty. This is nasty. Providence, Rhode Island shows 19 and a half months. Okay, not to scare you guys. Okay, let me pick another city that I don't think as many immigrants live there. Maybe I'm wrong. Manchester, New Hampshire. Let's see. So, okay, a little bit more reasonable. 16 months, but that's still too long. Okay. If you have a 485 on file, by the way, and you're wondering, let me know in the comments which city your field office should be, USCIS, if you file the 485 application. Okay, I found one in Montana. Helena? Okay, a little bit more reasonable. 13 months. Okay, it shows. Now, this is a processing time after you filed that specific form, 485, that I'm looking at on the screen. If you file the petition and maybe you're eligible to also file the 485, but you didn't do it at the same time, it's not looking all the way back to day one. Okay, for the very. Okay, there I am. Internet's not as good here right now for some reason. So hopefully that gives you an idea on that. I see New Orleans. Let me check that one out. And if you happen to know your receipt date, I'm happy to check that so you know when you can inquire. But I can tell you, it takes a long time. Okay, New Orleans for the 485 application. Oh my God. 28 months. Okay, so if you filed it January 1st this year, you got to wait another year. Now, keep in mind, I know I don't want to scare y'all if it's taking that long, because before the pandemic, on average, across the country, on average, 12 months. Okay. But now they're starting to use the pandemic as an excuse. Okay. You filed in April. Okay. So still you got to wait. Ooh, hypothetically, what, April 2024 is 2 years. So then 4 months after that. But keep in mind, number one, that before the pandemic took 8 months. They use the excuse of pandemic, but maybe it's because they don't have as many people working, right? We understand that across the US, at least, maybe across the world, people are pivoting, different type of jobs. So anyone who did work for the government could be doing something different now before. So, but at the end of the day, these cases should not take that long. Okay. In our law firm, we use technology to help in our internal process so that we can file cases sooner and also update clients in a timely manner. why can't the government do the same? I've never worked for USCIS, so I don't know, but it seems that they're really just using the pandemic as an excuse. And so what we do, we take action. Okay. Our law firm, we've started helping people with mandamus cases the past couple of years. And this mandamus might be like it's a fancy legal word, but it's the mechanism to help speed up your case, either to get you your interview date or get you the decision. Okay. And I'm not going to talk too much about it today, but I talk about it almost every day. So if you're just new to the channel, just joining us, welcome to Green Card Guys TV. Please give us a follow, follow us, and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and follow us on Facebook. But we're just on all these freaking social media platforms because everyone's on a different platform. So we're just trying to share information. Take it for what you will. Of course, if you don't have, whether you have a lawyer or not, and you're joining the channel, thank you so much. I know your time is valuable, and my wife and children tell me my time is valuable, so they don't want me on the channels that much. But I know there's just so much information out there, and actually, someone called us a month ago complaining about the wait time for a waiver case, and they said their lawyer just doesn't give a solution, doesn't have anything to share. Just keep waiting, keep waiting. Y'all have lives to just move on, carry on, right? And maybe you want to buy a house. Well, I don't know if I recommend that. I'm not in the industry, but the interest rates are high. But let's say it was a good time to buy a house. You want to just do things and travel, for example. You got to move on with your life, carry on. So if your case is taking more than a year, and it's at least, for example, in this stage 485 application, I would say at least 15 months, and it's still taking a long time to get the interview, at least. Now, if it's at least 6 months and you already had the interview, 6 months after the interview, you still don't have a decision, you can still file a lawsuit. That is the mechanism to get it moving, to get the result, get some kind of result. Okay. And again, I don't, but anyway, other tip, there's just a lot of tips to share. The other tip number 3, third thing you need to know about marriage cases, all right, is what I mentioned yesterday. I went into greater detail yesterday. I saved it it's on these platforms so you can look back at it. But the short summary of yesterday's tip was that if you entered America, if your spouse, who's the foreign national, the immigrant, entered America with a visa, and you are a resident, permanent resident as a sponsor, I highly recommend that you become a U.S. citizen. Okay, that the sponsor spouse, petitioner becomes a U.S. citizen. And what that does is it waives any unlawful presence at the time of approval for the foreign national. Okay, because 99% of people who apply for marriage visa, marriage green card, they've overstayed their visa, right? So in that scenario, you want to waive the unlawful presence. It does not automatically waive if the sponsor is a resident. Okay, so tip number 4 is that you want to, I guess part of it's the same tip, is that don't file the petition if you are the petition I-130 if you're considering the sponsor, the petitioner is going to become a U.S. citizen, and the foreign national entered with a visa. Okay, it's a different scenario, different advice, information if you entered without a visa. Okay, so again, this is just like quick snapshot, but this is kind of information that we share in a consultation. So just sharing this information so you can make a better decision. So, well, maybe not even a decision yet, but just an idea of what's going on, what to know, because I know a lot of y'all, just Google search and whatever comes on the first page, you're going to look at, right? I get that. But sometimes it doesn't cover all the information you need to know. So it could appear easy or not. Now, some people think, what's the point of having a lawyer? It's just paperwork, right? Like I'm just filling out my name, date of birth. It should be simple. It's this kind of strategy talk that I'm sharing with you. This is one of the reasons you would need a lawyer. Of course, you don't have to have one. If you value professional help in this scenario, you really need to consider and double check. Sometimes a professional could get it wrong. And I know it's crazy. They could get it wrong. So if you hear something, a lot of lawyers don't like it when people's clients say, well, I heard this, I heard that. And lawyers don't like to hear that. We don't mind it at all. We don't take offense because there could be something legitimate that you received in the news or found that could be helpful for your case. And we want to be able to, what we do as a team is explain it. Okay, explain what the difference is, or maybe it does apply in your situation. For example, because there's a lot of reform talk these days with Congress. A lot, maybe I'm wrong, but there is more activity apparently with Congress, just a conversation. But that's all it is, folks. They're just talking. Okay, they're not going to pass anything. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they're likely not going to pass anything because the House of Representatives is controlled by Republicans. So, and all the talk right now is with Democrats in the Senate. Okay, with a couple of moderates and one Republican. So, anyways, I see a question here. You're welcome to ask questions here on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. You haven't received your work permit yet, Shelly. Oh, I like your name, Shelly Licious. April 2022. Oh, yikes! Yeah, 8 months. Okay, what you can do. You don't need a lawyer for this. We do help our clients when they ask us. Expedite request. Okay, the little secret. Another little secret is talk to Emma. Find Emma on the USCIS website. Okay, she is a website chat. Okay, you can ask that you like to request expedite request on your 765. Now, normally you could do it for the entire petition, for example, but it's not for everyone. You have to qualify for it. So let me see if I can find. Let me see if I can find the page on that on the website. USCIS expedite request. We actually have a free guide on this. Okay. Here we go. Yep. Thank you, Sheldon. Thank you. Happy to help. Very informative. You're right. And okay, adding to the channel. I'm just setting a comment through the YouTube and Facebook of this link. So what I'm sharing, Shelly-licious, on those channels is our the USCIS website on expedite request. So for example, when it's related to 765 work permit, it's about money, right? It's all coming down to the money. So there is a reason here on the website. They call it that if you're suffering severe financial loss, okay, then that can apply to everyone, right? So then it shouldn't take 8 months. Even before pandemic, we would tell people estimated 3 to 5 months. But now if you filed, they were supposed to change the process a couple months ago. If you filed the 131 form for advanced parole, they're supposed to have it go on 2 different tracks for processing. So I don't know if it officially did that. I think in some scenarios it did, because some cases are some clients got their work permit faster. So hopefully that helps, Shelly Licious. And yeah, try that out. Chat with Emma. It's gonna be, you folks, chatting with Emma. It's actually a real life person. It's not a robot. Okay, it's not a bot. It may seem like that in the beginning, but it's a real person on behalf of USCIS, and it's a lot faster to get the information you may need rather than calling in the 800 number. Okay. I think it's 1-800. Anyway, no, I think I remember the number 375-5283, I think. So yeah, that goes to show how many times I've called USCIS in the past. So we don't always have to call, but sometimes we do. Am I right? Let's see. Where is it? Where's the phone number? Yeah, it should show here. I'm actually curious. Did I get the number right? But any questions? Yeah, I got it right. 1-800-375-5283. That's the USCIS contact number. But most likely, you're going to wait a long time on the line, probably at least an hour. So just chat with Emma. It's a lot faster. Okay. But keep in mind, USCIS is not your lawyer. Okay. If you want actual legal advice, you need to speak with a lawyer because the government is not going to do that for you. It's just like, folks, if you have a court hearing and you want to represent yourself for the first hearing, completely understandable. But the judge is not required to give you legal advice. Okay. They might try to help point you in the right direction, really, like we are right now as well. But let's see. Shelly, you said that's what you were told. Okay. You have a friend and she sent her paperwork in October. And by the end of October, she received a work permit. Yeah, that's what I think is ridiculous because they changed up the process, right? To make it faster. But then what about folks like Shelylicious that still have that work permit application from several months ago, 8 months ago? It's pretty ridiculous. So I would suggest try and chat with Emma and ask to have your 765 application process faster, to be expedited. That's the key word, expedite request. Okay. Process faster. They might not queue it, it might not trigger in the system. So expedite request. Okay. Especially if you have a job right now that really need your documentation. Yeah, maybe that would help. Okay. Yeah, well, congrats to your friend. I know that kind of feels bad for you. Um, we had several clients that we were able to get to file the expedite. We were able to file expedite request for the 765 specifically, and we're able to get that approved. So, but it just might take some time. They do email back maybe a month later, or sometimes a week later for our clients. It just depends. There's no that's the thing with the government. You would think it's structured, that there's timing mechanisms for every single repeatable situation, but they don't. I don't know how they run things in there, but it feels like a zoo. I'm sorry if you're a zookeeper. I'm sorry, but maybe zoo is not the right word analogy. But it just feels like it's a playground. Like there's just a mess. Maybe playground's better. Let's see. You must type in Emma, and you said it sucks. I encourage you to try again. Okay, again, it's gonna be better than talking to someone live because it's just faster to copy and paste your receipt number, things like that. You're gonna have to say it out loud. It's gonna just take so much time. So hopefully that helps, Shelly. I'll just try again because maybe whoever tried to respond to you wasn't as helpful. Okay, maybe today you'll get someone else. But you do have to follow follow what it shows on that website, expedite request, what the kind of information they want. Okay, usually we just tell them 1 or 2 lines about the reasoning why you need the expedite request for the. You have a lawyer, so yeah, I mean, ask your lawyer to do that for you. I mean, we've been very fortunate. A lot of our clients, I would say 99%, are very nice to us. I don't know. It's just just being. I'm not saying you wouldn't be nice, but it's just if you want to get things moving forward for the benefit of yourself, right? It's always helpful to be friendly to whoever you're speaking with because it's just human nature. You're more likely to get it done sooner, right? If we have a rude client, I hate to say, we do advise our clients, if you're going to be rude, you're going back to line. We're going to do the work for you, but we're going to put you at the back of a priority list, or off track on non-priority. I hate to say it, but we really encourage everyone to be nice. Life's short. We know everyone's suffering delays, but that's just my tip, because I do hear about bad experiences with lawyers, but that's just my tip when chatting with a lawyer making that request. Let's see here. So much to know about marriage type cases. But yeah, normally it takes about 12 months before the pandemic. But even if it does take 20 plus months, then you may want to consider filing a lawsuit. We've helped other lawyers as well. On a case in Florida, for example, I think if I remember correctly, he filed it in 2018. So 2 years before the pandemic, and still did not have an interview. Okay. Here's another little tip on why you may want to consider a lawsuit case to file a lawsuit against USCIS. Not to say maybe in the beginning or the first couple of years you have a strong relationship. And unfortunately, I've seen with my colleagues who are divorce lawyers that they've had more cases, more new cases, new divorces because of the pandemic. I don't know. It's because people are just, because you work at home now, and both of y'all work at home, and it just might be in each other's face too often. I don't know what it is, but it just seems that more people are getting divorces because of the pandemic, whatever issue it brought up. But that will obviously affect your immigration case. So, not to say that you should preempt. Yeah, actually, yeah, you should preempt it, because not to say that you are anticipating your relationship going sour for any reason, but just in general, I mean, no one wants to deal with a long delay case. So you may want to consider filing a mandamus lawsuit to get you the result. Now, that doesn't mean that as soon as we file a lawsuit that we're going to get some kind of outcome in 1 month. Sometimes, very few times, we're able to get a result in 1 month after file a lawsuit, but it's not every time. Okay, it's going to take at least 2 to 3 months. Appreciate the hearts. If you're on Instagram, welcome to Green Card Guys TV and YouTube as well. But yeah, if you're on Instagram, smash the hearts, please. Give me some hearts. Give me some love. And if you're on YouTube and Facebook, please click the like button. And I know it doesn't sound as exciting. Let's see here. What else can I share with y'all? Any questions? Let me see. See, okay, work permit. Yeah, we talked about that part. Maggie, nice to see you back on. Thanks. Marriage cases. Oh, okay. The big one. You're welcome. You're welcome, 21. The thing that people, we just had a scenario recently that yeah, it's a fiance visa case. And we prep the client, prepared him for the interview, and ultimately the visa officer only asked about like 4 or 5 questions. Of course, we give our clients like a long freaking list. It was like 100 questions to prepare them, because we're lawyers. We like to prepare for the worst case scenario. But we already know. We tell our clients they're not going to ask you all those questions. It's just so you feel comfortable at the end of the day. But and even if on paper your case looks great, and there's no issues on paper, which would not be the case. We file a case, we know it's good on paper. Otherwise, if there's not enough information, we would hold up the case until we get that proper information. Believe it or not, we do have some clients that I don't know why. I think it's a mindset block or something, but they just don't want to join a bank account or anything. Like, it takes some mental work to agree to put your money together. I'm not saying you got to put every single dollar of your paycheck in it, but you got to put something in the joint account. Okay. Anyways, that's my tangent there. My other tip for the day. But anyways, I had the visa interview. The client actually brought photos, more documents to show proof of relationship. And the officer said, sorry, I can't accept it today. You're going to have to mail it in. I was like, dude, I'm right here. I can give it to you. But the US government is doing something that's pissing people off. Okay. It's very similar to what happened to my client. Okay. So, but we know, as lawyers, we know this will happen. Unfortunately, it's a hit or miss. Again, it's not necessarily because of your case file could look great or not. There's no spectrum on that. What they do look at, if someone has been would be, denied for specific reasons, like a health reason, like not taking the COVID vaccine. Unfortunately, immigrants are required to do that. I know we're in America. It's kind of a strange thing. We can do what we want, but they're requiring immigrants to take the vaccine. And so I know that's a sensitive topic for folks, and we're trying to we try our best not to tell you what to do, but for the better of the case, you gotta follow the law. So, anyways, the man, so many tips today. Yeah, y'all want to guide me? You have any questions on this? So, anyways, we already told the client that in advance, in part of our preparation, that there's a possibility that the visa officer will just give you a hard time. because that's just what they do these days. And so they might give you a 221G notice saying, hold up, you gotta wait up. So what they claim to be concerned about is a lack of proof of relationship, right? So which is ridiculous, right? So, and if you're in a situation where you're in a similar situation, we can't file the lawsuit that quickly. We wait a couple months, allow time for the consular embassy to review it, and then if still no luck, no response, then we file the lawsuit, okay? Because if they're going to deny your case or refuse it, it has to be a legal reason. It can't just be there weren't enough documents to their preference. That's not how it works. The legal standard, okay, this is my lawyer talk now. The legal standard for proof of evidence in this kind of situation is preponderance of evidence. So if you know anything about US like criminal law, criminal court, like you hear about just criminal like on TV or something, movies, it's a beyond a reasonable doubt for criminal law. But for civil law, for immigration specifically, the standard is much lower. So you shouldn't have to provide like 100 pages of documents of your text messages or photos. That would be ridiculous. Okay. These officers have no time to even review it. So what are they doing? Something's going on. Okay, folks. Something fishy is going on. And we got to pull out all those fishes. Okay. We got to take it out. We got to take out all the bad fish, the smelly fish, and we got to make sure that the government makes a decision based on the law, not just pushing people around, pushing the files back to the end, okay, and tossing it to the side. That's essentially what they're doing, okay? So it's even worse for people. I know folks in America waiting for the status also. I want to talk about your type of cases, but we're seeing a lot of cases where people are outside America, and it's worse because not only the issue before was pandemic caused people to have a backlog of having interviews, not having interview, but now that they have the interview, they're getting pushed aside and not getting the visa issued at all. So this is my mini rant of the day to hopefully encourage you to receive information. Okay. So this is a good segue of me asking you to go to my website, greencardguys.com, and check out our free guide that you can download. All right, folks, you can download our free guide. We have one called Mandamus, Sue for Status. There's a bunch of other ones on our website. You could check it out. And right over there, okay, greencardguys.com. You scroll all the way down to the bottom. You'll see some information in there. Contains common answers to common questions and an estimated step by step. So the mandamus sue for status is just one example, but then we have a bunch of other guides. Let's see. Question here: how can the work file for you? I don't think I understand that question. Let me know if you're, or just rephrase if you can. I think you mean about for the lawsuit, possibly. What's a big no-no when it comes to the application and interview? Oh, this is a great one. Okay, Rushi Pooch, great question. What's a big no-no? Don't overshare. Okay, if you're in an interview and it comes down to it, don't overshare. Now, if it's a question like, how was your day? Of course, it's a broad question. Like, it was great. Thank you. Just like I went to the grocery store. And that's not a question they're going to ask anyway, but that's just an example. That's what we call open-ended question. There's things we learn in law school. Okay. So anything I've learned, I want to share with y'all. Okay. To make it easier for your case. Because you had, number one, probably paid at least $1,760, roughly $1,800 just for government fees alone. And if you hired a lawyer, you probably paid a pretty penny, okay, if you want the best representation possible. Now, I'll talk about fees later, but the biggest no-no is oversharing, okay? The officers are trained for a reason. They're trained in terms of interrogate. I don't know if they actually train as interrogators, but they are friendly for a reason. They're trying to get you to share more information that they're not asking directly. They're not going to ask you directly, did you enter your marriage for a fake reason? They're not going to ask directly like that. That's not how it works. They're going to ask you other questions to get to that finding to see if it is a fake case or not. Right. So, and just be normal. Okay. Tip number two in that sense, be normal. Okay. In the interview, you don't have to be like completely lovey dovey in the interview. You don't have to like hug each other in the interview. That's just not normal when you're in front of a stranger in any way. So, but I've heard of that. But the most common situation when it results in a denial is y'all are like facing, like your backs are angled away from each other. I don't know why you guys do that. I just don't recommend that. Just face directly to the officer. Okay, so that's just one big no-no. Man, I have a bunch, but that's the first thing. And of course, okay, here's a strange one that you might not have thought of. But if you have tattoos, make sure your spouse knows about it. I would think that your spouse knows about it. But if you have more than one tattoo, make sure your spouse knows about it. Because when I've heard when one of our clients that hired us after that interview, they went to separate rooms, and we went through the list of the denial letter. What were the questions? They actually share it. They might not share every single question that the clients got wrong, basically incorrect. They didn't match, right? So, but one of them is, oh, I mentioned that she had a tattoo, and then the officer asked about, well, how many tattoos do you have? So it ended up being more than one, and the other spouse didn't know about all of them. Okay, and so that's the thing. Like, if you have a spouse, maybe you care about tattoos, it's meaningful to you, or maybe not so meaningful, but your spouse knows about one of them, but the spouse doesn't really care about tattoos, or maybe it's not their tattoo, so they're not going to remember, right? They're not going to remember the significance. So little things like that, among a couple other things. I'm sure just that one question is not going to derail your case, but with along with other things, is could derail your case. Okay, so yeah, you might want to share with your spouse about your tattoos. If they don't know about it, then could be a little strange to the USCIS officer. Okay. Another big no-no, I guess, is that most lawyers don't talk about is is really to prevent the problem from happening in the first place. And I don't want to call it a problem, but you're obviously in a relationship with your spouse, and this is more so for big no-nos for people who have cases of 485 and you're in America, okay? Because if you have a case where the spouse is abroad, only the foreign national spouse has to be at the interview. So to give you an idea, if you're in the U.S., then this applies to you. What I'm about to share with you, and that is that you want to know more about your stepkids. Okay. I don't know if that's a strange thing for me to say, but it seems that it's just kind of like just knowing these stepkids by passing. Okay, if you're in, I'm not I'm not a marriage coach, I'm not a family coach, but if this helps you for the immigration case, I hope you can take it food for thought. Okay, is because your stepchildren, especially if they're teenagers, they can share information that can be. I really hate that I have to share this, but because you don't want to have to develop the relationship just to benefit your case. But of course, it can help. It's better in the long run, okay, long term, right, for everyone involved in your family. But what if your teenager, the stepchild teenager, opens the door to the USCIS officer? Okay, they tend to show up early in the morning, but what if you stepchild um, teenager, or even if it's a young child, they ask for the immigrant, if the so and so your stepdad live here, and just worst case scenario, what if the stepchild's like, who? The kids these days, you you live with them, but if they're like who, then that's a huge red flag, right? Essentially. But honestly, of course, they would know your name then. But even then, they could be like, yeah, he's not really around, or she's not really around. Okay. So, of course, this is evidence that's not admissible technically because it's not a court It's not a court setting, right? So, but anyway, they're going to use that information against you. Okay, so I really encourage develop the relationship with the stepchildren. Okay, it's not just knowing their birthday, and if you do know their birthday, not I'm not trying to tell you gotta give them a gift or something, or like give them a car. Well, that'd be ridiculous. But teenagers these days, they need cars. They need to get around. Otherwise, I'll be bugging you to take them everywhere. So I gotta be ready for myself. My oldest kid is 4, so I got some time. But I feel like I'm their professional chauffeur. They gotta figure something out. So, anyways, develop that relationship. If you have stepchild, I think that would really strengthen your case. Because in this situation, if you were to have a NOID, notice of intent to deny, and the common thing lawyers don't think about, like, we don't necessarily need the stepchild to write a letter, but in the worst case scenario, they could write a letter on your behalf, and establish that yes, this my stepdad, stepmom, they're in a legitimate marriage, and here are the reasons why. You know, he or she takes me to the ballet classes, my extracurricular classes, things like that. It helps me with homework. You know, bugs the heck out of me because they're giving me parental advice as a teenager, things like that. Right. So this is just really thinking outside the box. Okay. Especially if you have a lack of financial documentation together. Look, I know it's tough. You can't just like buy a house together. I know some apartment complexes, management companies want to see some kind of, at least a work permit or a social security number in order to put your name on the lease in addition to your sponsor. So there's a lot of different reasons that people might not have sufficient documentation, because the basic one is having a bank account together. Okay, so this is another reason why you may want to consider hiring a lawyer if you didn't have one when you filed your case, and because you may have already filed your case, but you want to prepare for it, you can still hire a lawyer. When we offer that service halfway through a case or something, or towards the end. Um, but yeah, anyways, that just yeah, just I don't know. I just didn't really think about that before until recently, right? Because of pandemic, in terms of family. But yeah, that's important. You got to develop that relationship. I'm not perfect. I'm trying every day myself. I got to read more books, learn from others, maybe learn from you. So if you have any tips on that, okay, folks, you have any tips on parenting, you got any books or something, blog, article, please share with me. I'm always trying to learn to be better. And hopefully that's a good tip for you in the future in your case as well. All right, folks. And I forgot to share this, but we do offer free 15-minute preliminary discussion with our team. And you might not qualify for it, but go ahead and take a quiz on a website. It's greencardguys.com. Okay. Go to on the homepage, you click on take quiz. But if you go to the contact us page, you can answer a few questions on the form there. And currently, it does allow you to self-schedule appointment, but we might be taking that away soon. We're gonna have a retreat starting tomorrow for 2 days. So if we don't answer your phone, by the way, I apologize. Please leave a message. We will return your call in the afternoon tomorrow and Thursday. But we're gonna be booked. Okay, we're gonna have consultations available until Tuesday next week. But after that, for the rest of the year, we're gonna rest. We're gonna make sure a team is ready to help you starting in the beginning of the year, because we also need some time to file cases moving it along. Okay, folks, we just have limited time. So if you've been thinking about having a consultation with us, or just need a consultation in general, fill out that form as soon as possible so we can book you. Our cares team can schedule you in. So on that note, here's our secret code. Share it with well, on my YouTube I'm sharing with it, but it's Green Card Guys. Okay, you could have guessed it, but check it out. Hopefully it can help you. And you can, on YouTube, Facebook, you can see our top 5 benefits. You have access to lawyers, believe it or not, kind of strange, right? We provide timely updates, and you can self-schedule a call with our team. Okay, and reply to emails. Oh my gosh, this is like unbelievable. Do a lot of things that most law firms don't do for some reason. So anyways, folks, Greatly appreciate it. And we'll talk soon. Okay. Take care.